The lyrics of the song.
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. You gotta get it right when you got the time. You can't close your mind now.
I love that part of the song. See? Vocal masterpiece. Kia ora and welcome. My name's Zoe Stevie and I'm your vocal coach for today, and I have the absolute pleasure of having a look at Siedah Garrett with Man in the Mirror. Oh my goodness me. She actually wrote the song for Michael Jackson, and I am so excited to take a look at what is she up to with her vocal technique. How is she creating the sounds and how can you create them? I'm going to do my best. The song is so incredibly difficult and beautiful and wonderful and has a message that even today we can really listen to. So let's have a look at Siedah Garrett and Man in the Mirror.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. Yeah. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on.
Wow, Siedah. Oh, she's just such a fantastic singer, and this song just gets me every single time. We've got a chest voice quality there, so we've got thicker vocal folds, and we've got a little bit of breath coming through the sound, and that happens when we just open the vocal folds ever so slightly, and they open and close from the back. And it's not about like pushing a whole bunch of breath. It's about really taking the volume down. Let's just go back on that.
Could change for once in my life. Yeah. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind.
Oh, wow. I love her vocals. They're just so beautiful. So we've still got a thicker vocal fold there with a little bit of breath. Now, she did just take one of her inner ears out. That could be due to a whole bunch of different reasons, usually because she's not hearing enough of her own voice within the mix. So we just take one of the inner ears out so it helps her to hear herself a little bit better. And we're gonna make it right. So the beauty of this song at the beginning is it's really about taking the volume right down low so that we're not over singing immediately, because the melody does repeat itself.
Favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. Yeah, so see the kids in the street, not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul.
Oh. The lyrics of the song. I implore you to go and just like sing this song. Okay. It's like, what sort of person do you want to be? It's like currently my anthem, I feel, at the moment. So what we've got this, let's go back to that. We're seeing her now kind of beef up the vocal folds there a little bit. We've got less breath. A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top. And she's doing quite a wide mouth position there, or quite a wide vowel, even though we can't see her mouth position. That can help to thicken up. Well, it doesn't thicken up the vocal folds. It can help to close the vocal folds, because as we're doing that, we're naturally kind of squeezing the area above the larynx, and that's going to help us to take a bit of the breath out. It's not what I'd say to beginner singers to try in any way, shape or form, but someone at a pro level like Siedah, I keep on wanting to call her Zendaya. I don't know why, but Siedah, where, you know, she's basically able to do whatever she wants, and these are the colors that she's trying to bring into her sound to brighten up with that wider lip position.
Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs?
And can you see that? Who am I to be blind, pretending? We've almost got this forward lip position there. And so the difference between the forward lip position is that's going to slightly darken the tone. And when we widen the lips, that's going to brighten the tone, which also has a knock-on effect for our pitching as well.
A summer's disregard, a
See? Vocal masterpiece. Look at all of these different colors that we're getting into the sound. So let's just go, and a one-man soul. Let's go back on this a little bit. We're hearing, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. We've got these thicker vocal folds coming in there, and those glottal onsets at the beginning of the phrase is what's helping her to close those vocal folds before she starts with the tone.
I'm asking him to change his ways, and on the side's gonna be on and a glimmer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. Na, 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 na. Yeah, listen, I've been a victim of.
I thought this might happen a little bit. This perfect, because we can see, let's just go back to this pre-chorus, because she starts to increase the level of twang within the sound. Now, twang has so many different applications, but what twang does is, because we are tightening the area above the larynx, it starts to help to, it helps to close the vocal folds. As I said, this Siedah is she's a beautiful professional, very highly qualified singer. She can do whatever she wants. I don't like to teach beginner singers to use twang to close those vocal folds, because then it starts to get tricky as we start to get higher in the range, and we can see that she bulks them up quite nicely without so much twang later on, and that's what I want for you, which is why you need to get my 3-day Find Your Chest Voice challenge. It's down in the description below, so that you can really get a handle on closing those vocal folds properly down in the lower part of the chest voice register before you think about taking them higher.
'Cause I got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know.
Can you hear that? Because I got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know. I can't do what she's just done. She's decided to do that. We've just got a little bit of the constriction coming in within the sound, and then it's gone as she goes higher up in the range, because that level of constriction works really, really well lower down in the range, where we can kind of press everything together, to press the vocal folds really, really close together, and then we let go of it as we're going higher.
Starting with the man in the mirror, I'm asking him to change his ways, and on the side's gonna be on and a glimmer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. Na, 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 na. Yeah, listen, I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize.
We can all learn from this performance, not only because the timing of the song is incredibly difficult if you go and sing the song, but also we're hearing so many different sounds that she's using to express these beautiful lyrics. So when we hear, I started with the man in the mirror, we had this relaxed jaw position, chest voice going further up in the range, and she brought the lips forward there. Now you might think, Zoe, you talk a lot about the trumpet shape. Yes, there is to man in the mirror. But what we do when we bring the lips forward, we're stopping this brightening of the tone, which would also cause a slight thinning of the vocal folds and kind of starts to make the sound a little bit squeaky. Not in all voices, but we also notice that the constriction is completely gone as she's gone further up. Constriction needs to be used real peppered in throughout the song and not all the time, because it will stop you from being able to take that chest voice higher in the range.
Selfish kind of love, it's time that I realize. Yeah, there was some with no home, not a nickel too long. Could it be really me, pretending that they're not alone?
Look at that larynx flexibility. Oh, Siedah, I love it. So we've got pretending that they're not alone. She's allowed the larynx to lower for the pitch, which is really important to be able to sing lower in the range. But what she's actually done as well is then double down on lowering to then make that sound darker. Pretending that we're not alone. Because you could go pretending that we're not alone. And then if we double down, pretending that we're not alone. I mean, I've gone way too far there. The trick is that if you wanting to lower the larynx, we need to allow it to lower for the pitch. But if we over lower, we're actually we can pull the note a little bit out of tune. Obviously, she's not doing that, right? Let's just go back on that.
Pretending that they're not alone. Oh, we'll all deeply scarred. Somebody's broken heart and a washed out dream. Yeah, they found each other on the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be.
Oh gosh. I love this song as well to practice making sure that you don't just fucking blanket sing throughout the whole thing, okay? You've got to take those breaks. Otherwise, the song sounds way too oversung. It is not like this big, I will always love you ballad, right? It has to have those breaks in order to also like serve the rhythm correctly as well. So, I will all deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart, and a washed out dream. You know, you've got when you are actually taking those breaks and making notes of where they are, it is going to fit into that entire system of the music a lot better. I see this so much in the singing studio of like singers these days was like, and I don't mean to go like stand on my high horse going like people these days. This is the problem with karaoke these days, is that you don't actually have to learn how to read music anymore, and you don't actually have to like listen to the music anymore because it's all like going along with you with the thing. If I could implore you to do one thing this year, it would be to get your eyes away from the fucking karaoke. Like, use the karaoke to practice with, but like don't look at the actual lyrics and how they're going across. Turn away and listen to the fucking music so that you can start to become a better musician, because I strongly believe karaoke is making a generation of really shit musicians out there. I said it! Anyway, whatever. I'm going to get off my soapbox today.
They're not alone. Oh, we'll all deeply scarred. Somebody's broken heart and a washed out dream. Yeah, they found each other on the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
We're also hearing there a lot of thyroid tilt going on. So I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And so that's when the thyroid cartilage, which is this lovely baby hair where the vocal folds live, is tilting forward in order to stretch the vocal folds. And that's also the main difference between speaking and singing. And so it helps us to make the sound more sung, but it also helps us to bring on the vibrato as well, because without thyroid tilt, vibrato is not going to come. So we can hear it throughout. Oh, willow deeply scarred. I mean, I'm repeating myself, right? I know that's not the second pre-chorus, but our body's broken heart and a washed out dream. You know, that really depends on how sung you really want that section of the song to be. But it is imperative that we learn how to kind of turn it on and turn it off, because if we're really low in the range, we might not want it to sound quite as sung. And that's why we actually looked at thyroid tilt 2 weeks ago inside my online singing school, the Vocal Academy. We are working with students on going from that vertical position where it doesn't sound quite as sung, maybe at the start of songs, going into more of a tilted sound where it would be more in the chorus section of the song. And so if you want to catch up on that, you can apply for the Vocal Academy down in the description below.
I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could appear and deliver. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror, and I'm asking him to change his ways, 'cause no message could appear and deliver.
Can you see now? I mean, look, we're a little bit further away from her in this shot, but can you see now that she's putting much more energy and expression into the sound? It's an excellent way for us to like up the stakes of the song without just gradually getting louder as we're going through the song. We want the energy, the importance, we want the message. It's, you know, you're repeating yourself, so we need to kind of say it in a different way every single time. And I love that. We're also getting like a little bit, I'm asking him to change his ways. She's kind of like causing a few more stops and things like that within the sound, within the vocal sound.
You want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Starting with the man
the song. Okay, so if she obviously held onto a phrase, right? If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then you gotta get it right, you gotta because in this part of the vocal range, it doesn't actually require a whole bunch of breath. Did we see her like, I mean, she's relatively slim, so we're not going to see like these ginormous belly breaths, but we didn't really see a hell of a lot of movement in the breathing apparatus at all. And that's because firstly, a lot of these phrases are quite short, and also because when we are in a thicker vocal fold, we actually use a lot less breath than we actually think we need. So if I'm going to say one thing about this, I want you to stop about this idea, and I see this so many places online. I want you to stop this idea of like that there's one way to breathe for singing. There are so many different ways that we can breathe for singing, because it really depends on like how much breath we need to take in and what the type of sound is that we are trying to get out of our vocal folds. So if you're singing this song, I want you to focus on taking smaller, shorter breaths. So little gasps. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. Little short, sharp, high breaths. And that's going to help you to not only get the larynx in the right place as you are singing the phrase, because it's a little bit higher, but it's also going to help to prepare these muscles in, the breathing in muscles of the intercostal, like in the ribs, as well as the pectoral muscles and this isn't my back, but I can't reach my back, the upper back muscles in order to stabilize that sound. Because if you saw it, immediately there's an engagement going on there within the muscle, and that's what we want. We don't want to do it through like brute force. This is probably one of the most difficult things to learn in singing, that as we are increasing the energy of the song, that we don't then start pushing and over singing and like opening the mouth too wide or like breathing in too much. Or what ends up happening then, and I'm not saying Siedah is doing this, but it ends up like pushing the note out of tune, and often it gets a little bit messy because we start to like lose control of ourselves. So what I want you to focus on in your performance, and this is where it's really like you've got to do more performing and review, like in front of people, and then reviewing your videos and going back and feeling it. I want you to think about when you're reaching the end of your song, the whole time you're almost like, my singing teacher always used to say to me, you're holding back the horses. Yeah, you're holding them back. You're almost thinking that you're singing at like 80% and you're never really going to a full 100%. Because I promise you, if you go to a full 100%, you're not really going to sound very good. So focus on holding back the whole time to that 80%, and that will almost become your new set level of and no, this doesn't seem to make sense, but that will become more comfortable than going all the way to your full potential, because we never really want to be working at the extremes of our range, but we also never really want to be working at the extremes of our volume either. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. La, 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 la. Yeah. It's gonna feel real good. Come on. Start with that man. You got to start with yourself, brother. Yeah, you got to make that change. You got to make that move to be with the man in the mirror. You got to stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up and live yourself, brother. Make that change. You got to make that move to be with the man in the mirror. You know. This is a perfect example of how, as singers, we need to continue to work on our music theory, but also on our oral skills, which are our listening skills when it comes to singing. So working on your scales and arpeggios within the keys that you're singing in. And that really helps you, and working on your pitching of your intervals, because that really helps you when it comes to improvising at the end of these songs. So I actually don't know whether she does this differently every time. I have heard the song a couple of times on the recordings, and it does seem quite similar, but I'm assuming that she could also just like riff around in this key because she's been singing this song for so long. This song actually came out in 1988, so it's been around for a little while. And so this is where I would say, especially if you're singing this song, to sing the scales or to sing, the scale of this particular key. And that will help you to build up your ability to hear which notes you're supposed to sing within this improvised section at the end of the song. This is all about ear training and rhythm training when it comes to this part of the end of the song. So we've got this, we're gonna make that change, come on. She is really sitting around the same sort of voice quality. She's kind of riffing on the same feeling, adding in a little bit of that growl, adding in a little bit of that twang at the same time. And this is why we need to learn all these techniques separately so that we can kind of like add them in at the end of the section of the song. But we've got, gonna make that change. I would almost say that I think she's belting at the end of this song because we've kind of got a beefiness that's come into the sound, and we've got this like this excitement that's come in, and there's not a hell of a lot of riffs going on. So belting is really when we're using, so I said we had the thyroid cartilage. Now there is a bottom cartilage to the larynx, and that's called the cricoid cartilage, and it's a ring at the bottom of the thyroid cartilage, and when that tips backwards, it helps us to thicken up the vocal folds, like thicker than thick, and that's when we are in the belt voice quality. Belt takes a while to get up to, but you can start with my free Find Your Chest Voice challenge. The chest voice is the basis for getting the vocal folds thick enough before we then move on to belt, because once we add increased subglottic pressure and we start working on the breathing and going higher in the range, all the wheels can kind of come off if we do not have that level of security within the chest voice. So you need to do that first. And then if belt is something that you're specifically wanting to work on, that is one of the masterclass series that we are running live for you inside the Vocal Academy. And we actually get small practice groups looking at your belt, giving you that feedback so you can go away and practice it. So you can apply it down in the description below. This is beautiful. I feel like I'm going to church. So we're seeing a slight pulling back of the tongue there. Now that what is it? What's compressed tongue? Sorry, my brain just left the building there for a second. So we've got a compressed tongue, which is where the tongue actually, the back of the tongue stays in the same place and the front of the tongue kind of bunches up. That can help to beef up the sound. So it makes sort of like a darker tone quality. Think like Christina Aguilera, Shakira, Anastasia. That's also other things going on. And a lot of like high, slightly darker toned, but like timbre belters like Lady Gaga also does this where they compress the tongue a little bit, but it is really keeping that back of the tongue there. It will help to slightly darken that tone.
You know it, you know it, you know it, you know it, no. Yeah. Make that change. 감사합니다.
Is she not just the most amazing singer? We also saw these short, sharp, high breaths. You got to outweigh yourself. Come on, doing these little short breaths. That's going to help us to increase the subglottic pressure, which is the pressure below the vocal folds, which helps us to thicken the vocal folds if we're wanting to keep that chest voice sound or even move into belting as we're going higher up in the range. I felt like the end there, we sort of like had a bit of a churchy moment, and I really, really love at the end of the song, she kind of, it's almost like excuse me for using the wrong language. I do not go to church, but it's almost like, the pastor standing up there and you got to. And we've got then the chorus as those background singers there, which are it's just so fantastic and so moving. And again, it's about not just going for the like balls to walls, we're actually holding back the voice at that point, but we can see the energy was going into the body there. And sometimes it's about increasing that body energy to give the appearance that there is more going into the voice than just like really shoving it through the sound. But we saw a really lovely journey of her body energy throughout that song as well. And that's what I'd ask you to do. Actually, I want you to be looking at your singing and saying like, actually, what can I do with my body in order to like show the audience that the stakes have increased, that this is more exciting in this moment, without necessarily just like screaming at them by the end of the song. Wow, Siedah, she's just so incredible. I'm really, really excited to have had a look at her. She's just like giving me such a good feel for the rest of my day. Woohoo! So if you are interested in learning more about anything we've talked about here, there are lots of incredibly difficult coordinations with your voice. I am not expecting you to get that from one singing lesson. If you genuinely want to improve your singing, you're like, Zoe, I've been trying this for ages. I've been looking on YouTube. I honestly don't know how to get better. You need to come in for one-to-one lessons. Let's hook up for a call. I would love to chat with you about your vocal goals. You can apply for the Vocal Academy down in the description below. We're here to help you. We have weekly masterclasses. We have really, really small practice groups so you can get pointed feedback, because without feedback, honestly, you're just not going to improve. And that's what we're here to do at the Vocal Academy. Oh my goodness me. I'll see you right next time. Just remember, anyone can learn to sing. It's a muscle. That's what we're here to teach you to do. Step by step, you can learn how to sing. I'm just going to go out on a high. Right. Happy singing. Ka kite anō.